Hello learners, welcome to Odisha State Open University. I am Priyasmin Sahu, Assistant Professor from Department of Economics, and today in this video session we are going to discuss about Harrod-Domar growth model. So we should understand how it has been established or how it has been developed. So basically Harrod-Domar growth model is the extension of Keynesian economics. So what is Keynesian economics? As you know, Keynes has described in his model that income and employment can be established or can be equated at a underemployment equilibrium, where he had told that in the long run we all are dead, and have given a theory for the short run, but Harrod-Domar have given the model for the long run and has extended the Keynesian economics. So coming to the first slide, Harrod-Domar model was developed by Harrod in 1939 and by Domar in 1946. Basically, you must know that Harrod-Domar model are two different models, slightly similar but two different models. They are not a single model. So, the model was developed by Harrod in 1939 and subsequently by Domar in 1946. So, it is the extension of Keynesian analysis of income and employment to the long run problem of economic growth. What is the long run problem of economic growth? Like how our economy should grow, at which rate it should grow to maintain a sustainable growth rate so that it can be developed for a long period of time. Then the Harrod-Domar model seeks to determine the unique rate at which our income and investment must grow so that the growth process can be achieved for a long period of time, or it can be sustained for a longer period of time. Okay, then both the model have given importance to capital accumulation. What is capital accumulation? Capital can be of two types. One is physical capital, another one is the financial capital. Physical capital can be referred to as buildings or roads, dams, etc. And money capital can be referred to as cash, bonds, shares, all those things. Okay, so how capital accumulates? When from our income level, when we save a part and we keep it aside for investment purpose, even though we keep it as cash, it cannot be referred as capital accumulation. It has to be invested so that we can accumulate capital with the investment money. Okay. Then coming to the next point, that has been the investment, which has dual effects. One is the demand side effect, another is the supply side effect. Okay, when capital increases, income increases multiple times, it is known as the demand side effect, or we can also refer it as the income effect. How? Because when our capital increases or when our income increases, we save a little more than earlier. Okay, and we save it as our saving, and we refer it as our investment, or we may invest it in shares, bonds, or any venture capital or any investment portions. So this is also known as the demand side effect, where our capital accumulates and in return the income increases multiple times. Then coming to the supply side effect, capital increases and it raises the productive capacity. How? By accumulating capital, we can contribute more towards the technology, towards the machinery development of the entrepreneurship or any business, so that it can create capacity and it will contribute to the production process. So this is known as the supply side effect, or we can also refer it as the capacity effect, because it raises the capacity of production process. As we know, classical talks about the supply side effect, they doesn't talk about the demand side effect. Okay, they says whatever supply is there, that much of demand is there in the economy. There is no disequilibrium in the economy, and they always talks about the supply side economics. And Keynes has talked about the demand side effect. He has no view on supply side effect. So, but in Harrod-Domar growth model, it has been given that Harrod-Domar have talked about both demand side effect and supply side effect. So we can say that Harrod-Domar is a slightly modification over the classical models and the Keynesian models. So coming to the next slide, we have some assumptions under the Harrod-Domar growth model. The first assumption is the full employment. What is full employment? Full employment means whatever resources are available in the economy, they have, and are used in the production process, they are fully employed. There is no underutilization or overutilization of resources. And the laborers who are interested to work, they are employed. No one is involuntary unemployed. Then the next point, there is no government interference. Like there is the free hand establishment in the economy. We can say whatever disequilibrium arises in the economy, it adjusts to itself automatically. No government interference is there with its monetary policies or any fiscal policies. Then closed economy, that means there is no trade relations with other countries. It is a closed economy. Whatever is produced, whatever is consumed is within the country. We don't have any relation with the trade relation with the other countries. And there is no lags in adjustment. That means whatever mechanisms or whatever policy we adopt, it results subsequently with no time. That means suppose today only we establish some policy or some rule, and the next day only we can see the result. Okay, there is no lags, 6 months of 1 month, there is no lags in adjustment and the production process or the output. Or suppose we can say if we get the income today, we will save tomorrow, or we can say if we are invest some amount today, we can get the return tomorrow or with a maturity period. There is no lags in adjustment. Then the next assumption is the capital income or to labor to income ratio is constant. Whatever amount of capital to income we are using, that is constant. Like if we distribute capital to a 60% and income to a 40%, then the 60-40 ratio is constant throughout the production process. There is no changes to this ratio, or we can say the same to the labor income ratio also. Then no substitution of factors. What is substitution of factors? Substitution means if we substitute one factor for another. Suppose we can say if we substitute capital for labor. For 1 unit of capital, if we substitute 2 units of labor, then we can say it is a substitution of factors. But in this Harrod-Domar growth model, there is no substitution of factors. Capital can only be used for production process and labor can be used for its purpose. Capital cannot be substituted for labor, or labor cannot be substituted in place of capital. And there is constant returns to scale. What is constant returns to scale? For example, if we employ 40 or 50 units of labor or inputs, we can say in input, then we can say that we are getting 50 units of outputs. What is constant returns to scale? Constant returns to scale is that whatever amount of input is employed, we are getting the same amount of output. For suppose if we are employing 50 units of input, then we are getting 50 units of output. So there is no increasing returns or no decreasing returns to the production process. So let's learn about the Harrod growth rates. Harrod has given 3 growth rates. One is actual growth rate, one is warranted growth rate, and the third one is the natural growth rate. So what is actual growth rate? Actual growth rate is the real growth rate, what has been achieved in the economy. Okay, so the formula that he has given for is saving by capital, that is G is equal to S by C. So S stands for saving and C stands for capital. Then the second growth rate that he has given is the warranted growth rate. It shows the full capacity or potential growth rate, which tells the entrepreneurial equilibrium. What is that? That means the entrepreneurs or the business persons are happy at this growth rate. Why? Because whatever amount of output they require to maintain their satisfaction or to get the profit, they are getting at the warranted growth rate. So at the warranted growth rate, the entrepreneurs or the business persons are happy because their potential growth rate is achieved. And we have a formula for this, that is GW multiplied with CR is equal to S, and GW stands for warranted growth rate and CR stands for the required rate of capital. A required rate of capital refers to the capital level which is required to maintain a equilibrium growth rate in the economy, and A stands for saving. Then the third growth rate is the natural growth rate. It is the maximum growth rate that the economy can achieve with the available amount of natural resources or technology. So it places a obstacle, or it places a constraint to our growth rate that can be achieved only with the available amount of natural resources, because a country cannot produce more if it doesn't have the resources. Okay, then if we equate all these three growth rates, that is the actual growth rate, the warranted growth rate, and the natural growth rate, if we equate G is equal to GW is equal to Gn, then we can refer it to as the knife edge equilibrium. Why knife edge equilibrium? Because we cannot reach at a point where all these three can be equated at a single point, and it is a very sharp edge equilibrium. That's why we call it as the knife edge equilibrium. It is kind of impossible situation, but not impossible. We can make it possible if we achieve the technology and the available resources can be used. If there is equilibrium in the economy, then there can be disequilibrium. So in the Harrod-Domar growth model, we can have disequilibrium situations also. As we know, it is known as the knife edge equilibrium. So we can also deviate from this equilibrium. So what are the deviations? There are two types of deviations. When the warranted growth rate is greater than the actual growth rate, it will lead to depression, because or we can say that when GW is more than the G or the actual growth rate, there can be depression in the economy. Why so? Because our warranted growth rate is more. We can achieve more, but we haven't achieved yet because of some economical issues or maybe some technological issues, but we can achieve to the full equilibrium point, but we haven't achieved that. So there can be depression in the economy, and then correct that if we achieve the correct technology level to reach to the point of GW. Okay, this is the first case of the disequilibrium situation. We can also call it as if C is greater than the CR, that is, if the capital is more than the required capital. If the required capital is less, means to achieve the sustained economic growth, the required capital is less, then it can be lead to the depression in the economy. Then coming to the second disequilibrium situation, where actual growth rate, that is G, is more than the GW, or required capital is more than the actual capital, there can be inflation in the economy. That means our warranted growth rate is 40, but our actual growth rate have achieved 60. Then we can say if actual growth rate is 60, but we need actually 40, then there can be inflation in the economy. You must have heard what is inflation. Inflation is the increase in price values, or it is not the real money value, rather it is only the money inflation or the increase in the money value, not the real value. It also leads to decline in our purchasing power. Okay. So coming to the next slide, that tells about the Domar growth model. It has given some derivatives or some equational models to the growth model, where we can see that demand side, that is YD, or the disposable income, is equal to I by alpha. What is I? I stands for investment and alpha stands for MPS, that is marginal propensity to save. Then in the supply side, we have an equation, that is YS, or the total output, is equals to sigma K. Sigma refers to the productivity of capital and K refers to the real capital. So to reach the equilibrium point, we have to equate these two equations. So if we make a change, that is delta YD is equal to delta YS, then we can solve down the equation and reach at a point where delta I by I is equals to sigma alpha. It is a razor edge equilibrium to maintain the steady state growth rate. So the left hand side tells about the demand side and the right hand side tells about the supply side, as investment is a demand side factor and capital is a supply side factor. So as Harrod has given in his model a knife edge equilibrium, so we call the Domar equilibrium as the razor edge equilibrium. So also in his model, the equilibrium situation can be leading to a disequilibrium situation also, and there are two disequilibrium situation when the left hand side, that is delta I by I, is greater than the supply side factors, that is sigma alpha. It leads to a inflation situation, because when demand is more than the supply side, that is when now we demands more, but there is no such output in the economy to satisfy that demand, it leads to a inflationary situation in the economy. Then coming to the next disequilibrium situation, it shows that when the supply side factor is more than the demand side factor, or here we can see that the right side equation is more than the left hand side equation, that is sigma alpha is greater than the delta I by I, it leads to a deflation situation. Coming to the next slide, we have a diagrammatic representation of the model, where you can see that when in the figure 1, G is greater than the GW, from O to T2 point, there is the equilibrium situation and the G and GW are equal to each other, but after the T2 point, G increases more than the GW. So whatever it may be, GW or GN, when actual growth rate or G is greater, then there will be inflation in the economy. Then you can see in the figure 2 point, from O to the T2 point, there is equilibrium in the economy, but after that point, after T2 point, GW increases more than the G, or that is the actual growth rate. The warranted growth rate is more than the actual growth rate, so there is depression in the economy. So that's all for today. Thank you. Please stay tuned for more such videos, and we will be discussing video sessions for every unit of this course. Thank you.